It's Messi! It is the cleanest of clean finishes from the best on the planet.
It's time for the biggest sports stories.
Liverpool, the champions of Europe, are top of the world.
The biggest interviews.
That such a great spectacle is ruined by such thuggish behavior.
And all the analysis right here.
He's the one player that has the arrogance to think that he can play in any stadium in the world and any pitch in the world in front of any player in the world and take them on.
Every weekday, it's my sport, it's your sport. It's ZiFM Sport. Let's join the team for the biggest show in the world of sport on ZiFM Stereo. My station, your station.
It's a Tuesday evening, everybody, and it's a UEFA Champions League night. That makes the show oh so much easier, especially when it comes to the second section, which is the beautiful game. But we'll get to that momentarily because there's lots to pick apart before that. And the team that's going to present another Cracker-Jack edition of ZiFM Sport here on Top Hit Tuesday are Mike, Chris, Sean, our producer, Alois Munjira, and my name is Barry. On the home front, Premier Soccer League clubs have been warned against conducting COVID-19 tests without following the FIFA and Premiership's medical protocols following the news that 3 Bulawayo City players recently tested positive for COVID-19 after a self-initiated testing exercise. We'll talk about that and find out the thoughts of the ZiFM Sports team's opinion. And international sport news, we have our staple, the Formula One report, proudly brought to you by Zimoko, where Lewis Hamilton believes he can go on to even greater heights, having surpassed Michael Schumacher's record of Formula One race victories after his win at the Portuguese Grand Prix.
We'll have more international sports news for you when we take you around the world in 60, starting in England, where Eddie Jones has reminded his players of the need to adhere to strict COVID protocols after England's opening match of their international window was called off, but he admitted he cannot guarantee players will not break the rules. In the United Arab Emirates, the Kings 11 Punjab continued their charge towards an IPL playoff place as half centuries from Chris Gayle and Mandip Singh took them to a 9-wicket win over the Kolkata Knight Riders. And in the United States, Justin Thomas has turned his attentions towards winning the Masters next month after falling short in his title challenge at the Zozo Championship.
Halfway through the show is the play of the day. Find out what's trending today on Top Hit Tuesday. Before we get into the beautiful game where AC Milan defender Simon Kjaer admits there's frustration after Zlatan Ibrahimovic scored twice, but the Rossoneri dropped their first points of the Serie A season as Roma came from behind to draw 3-3 at the San Siro last night. The UEFA Champions League returns tonight. That's going to be match day 2, and Manchester City will endeavour to make it 2 wins out of 2 when they cross the channel to take on French giants Marseille.
But first, as always, Top Hit Tuesday starts with our power play. Here's a track that is number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100 and has been for the past 2 weeks. It's by 24K Golden. It's featuring Ian Dior. It's called Mood.
The home front. Local sports news and analysis. From Rufaro to Barberfield, Mandava to Nyamunga, all the perfect moments in the Castle Lager Premier Soccer League come together on ZiFM Sport.
Why don't we have a conversation online? Follow us at ZiFM Sport and the rest of the team in our individual capacities at Mike Madoda, at Chris Midzi, at Gazaman14, that's Alois, and then Sean is on at Sean Tafirenyika. I'm on at Barry Manandi. Now let's get into it on the home front. We're talking football. The Premier Soccer League clubs have been warned against conducting COVID-19 tests without following the ZiFM Premiership's medical protocols following the news that 3 Bulawayo City players recently tested positive for COVID-19 after a self-initiated testing exercise. The league said the clubs must wait for the ZIFA and PSL medical protocols before embarking on the exercise. The league's chief executive officer, Kennedy Ndebele, said they will rein in those that defy the warning. And Kenny Ndebele coming out quite strongly, Michael, saying that do not move until we say so.
It's a warning that defies belief, Barry. And why I say so is that I think I am looking at this situation. I'm saying Bulawayo City Football Club must be commended for taking the initiative, for doing something that Zimbabwean football clubs have not done ever since the pandemic actually started, which is in the early parts of this year, and since the lockdown began in Zimbabwe way back in March. Remember, Barry, that players are assets that belong to football clubs. And as such, the football clubs have got a duty to protect the value of those assets. And one of the things one of the ways that you can do so in the world of sport is by making sure that the health of those players is maintained, that the ability as well as the physical conditioning of those players is up to scratch. Bulawayo City Football Club have done what every other football club should have done and what we have seen being done internationally. It's just that in Zimbabwe there's a scarcity of resources, and so we are dependent on the Premier Soccer League and the Football Association to fund the testing. Kennedy Ndebele shouldn't be coming out and saying, hey, listen, we're going to give you a slap on the wrist or punish you for doing this. He should then be coming out and saying, okay, you have taken this initiative, you've gone ahead and taken these tests for your players, but you'll still need to come back and do the tests that we require you to do, because the 3 positive tests, Barry, show you that it was actually a good move by Bulawayo City to have done so. Because imagine what was going to be the risk of those 3 players unknowingly coming into contact with the rest of the squad, with the rest of the technical team, and with the club officials when the team would have got together in a team huddle.
And also the
risk of spreading it would have been far much greater.
Yeah, and also just remaining in their communities and spreading the disease. Instead, what Kenny Ndebele said was clubs mustn't embark on unsanctioned COVID-19 testing. What Bulawayo City did was wrong, because there will come a time when all clubs will have to undergo COVID-19 testing according to the ZiFM and PSL medical protocols. The league will not hesitate to act should any club defy this directive. The words verbatim of Kennedy Ndebele. Chris, is there a different type of testing that ZiFM and PSL are suggesting that's different to the testing that's taking place everywhere else?
Absolutely not. I think the PSL is being incredibly overbearing and not forward-thinking. I think I honestly, I'm trying to figure out what the basis of this could be. If it was an issue of cost, the cost for this testing was not then sent to the PSL for them to pay for these tests that were conducted by Bulawayo City. So I'm not sure it's an issue of cost. Another thing is that if clubs want to test their players, the Premier Soccer League is made up of different organizations, and that's just the fact of it. These are different organizations that have their own private affairs. Bulawayo City conducting testing, as far as I'm concerned, falls under a club conducting tests on their own players. These are their employees. These employees are not paid by the PSL. So why then would the PSL go and be incredibly overbearing about this? I think the PSL is worrying about the wrong things at the moment.
But Alois, the PSL will always say that the clubs are our affiliates. They have signed on for this as part of being part of the PSL. We control them. We run everything. It is all centralized. Is that right?
No, it's not right, Barry. Not at all. They are affiliates. They don't own them. They don't run them. They are affiliates. PSL does not run Dynamos. PSL does not run Highlanders. They are just affiliates. It's just like a law company affiliated to the Law Society of Zimbabwe. They're not run by the Law Society of Zimbabwe. They're affiliated to the Law Society of Zimbabwe. That's what it is. So what Chris and Mike said is absolutely correct. They're actually proactive. The government and everybody else, the World Health Organization actually commented and actually said it's actually good for everyone all over the world to just actually get tested and just know your status so that you protect the next person. You know, so they have done it. They've actually protected the other players. They've actually protected their families and friends whom they could have associated with, hung around with. Now they know that they've got COVID, those 3, now they're separated. So we should actually be clapping hands for Bulawayo City for taking that initiative. When the PSL are now conducting the group testing for the clubs, they can still come back with Bulawayo City. They can do the same. They are not stopped, but they have done what they can do in their own in-house. Protect each other. That's what I think. I'm not sure what the fuss is that all about.
Part of ensuring lack of or preventing community spread is the issue of testing. You're so right, Alois. The World Health Organization has promoted testing, and so Bulawayo City in that light are on the right side of things. Let's dig a little bit deeper, Mikey, and go into the various structures. We look at America. America has got a centralized system where the league, the MLS, the NFL, the NHL, the MLB basically have a lot of control. They virtually own all the assets of their various leagues. And then you go to other denominations, in inverted commas, like you go to the parish of the United Kingdom, where the organizations, the Manchester United, the Liverpools, they own their assets. In Zimbabwe, same thing. The organizations own their assets. How much sway should the PSL have over the assets of another organization? Because surely, as a self-respecting organization, Bulawayo City should have the liberty to test their employees.
Barry, it still goes back to what we've been saying, and to use football speak, the PSL is offside on this issue. This is none of their concern. The business that is being conducted by Bulawayo City is none of the PSL's business. The problem would arise if Bulawayo City suddenly turned around and say to the PSL, we are not going to do your tests because we conducted our tests 2 weeks ago. But Bulawayo City has not done that. They have just been proactive and have now got data as to the health condition or the condition of their players now, which would actually be useful data for the Premier
Which is commendable.
if they wanted to use, because they have a starting point, and Bulawayo City would actually be a couple of weeks ahead of the other clubs, because testing shouldn't be done once. What we are seeing, Barry, in the nations that you have talked about, the NBA recently held a very successful bubble in Orlando, the English Premier League when they had Project Restart, and now in season 2020-2021, and this applies to all the major leagues that we are seeing operational in Europe, is that testing is being conducted regularly. In the English Premier League, testing is being done twice a week. So it's continuous testing. So the step again, and I'll repeat this, taken by Bulawayo City is actually in the right direction. The PSL should actually come out and clarify to us, because these are questions that we need to ask now. Don't tell us that you're going to be testing these guys once, just for optics, and say we tested them before we gave the green light for teams to return to training. Tell us how many times you're going to be testing these players. Okay, how regularly are the tests going to be conducted? If clubs can be proactive and take out or carry out their own tests, then they should get a pat on the back. Tell me, FC Platinum, how come FC Platinum have been allowed to return to training without partaking of the said ZiFM and PSL protocols? What's so different with FC Platinum and Bulawayo City Football Club as clubs?
And Mike, the other issue is they are saying that they're going to punish Bulawayo City. Did they send a memo well in advance to actually warn the clubs against testing their players? Or they are reacting to Bulawayo City testing their players? Did they actually send a memo to all the clubs that, hold on, no one is going to be testing? Or they just reacted to, is there a rule in their rule book that FC Bulawayo City flouted? That's what I also want to ask. That's the question I want to ask. Did they flout any rule that was already there that they went overboard? I still don't think so.
The one thing that the PSL is saying is that we did not give you the go-ahead to test, so why did you test? Which sounds...
No, Barry,
they say no one should not.
Barry, the PSL is a regulatory authority, okay? Yeah. You do not run the affairs of the club day to day. We have got assets that we need to maintain. We are the ones that make decisions as far as these assets are concerned. If we decide as Bulawayo City that we want to test every day, it's our prerogative, because we are the ones that own the assets and we are the ones who are paying the assets. If we decide we want to test every week, it's okay. Like I said, it only becomes a problem if Bulawayo City turns around and says, because we are doing our own testing, we are not going to be part of what you are recommending as PSL and ZiFM.
And Bulawayo City definitely isn't saying that. These assets, Chris, very quickly, still haven't been given the go-ahead to return to training. The PSL and ZiFM have said that, wait, we'll get back to you. How long are we going to wait, do you reckon?
We're going to wait for a very long time, because if people were supposed to return to training if this bubble is going to go ahead. If everything is supposed to run on schedule, we're already behind schedule and we might be waiting for a long time. The PSL, instead of making sure that all of the tests are conducted across the clubs, that people are aware of the regulations, that everyone is prepared to go into this bubble, they're worrying about a club that's gone ahead and actually forayed the way and got started on training. So we've got leadership who are worrying about the wrong thing. Instead of getting back to football, we're worried about a club that's doing the right thing.
That's correct. A club that's doing the right thing being told, no, it was actually wrong. Well, what we can confirm is that as of yesterday, the clubs are still in the dark as to when testing will happen and when training will resume.
Hi, my name's Ryan Cairns, Sunshine Tour professional golfer, and you're listening to ZiFM Sport.
Right, let's keep you updated with the rest of your local sports news, starting with golf, where top Zimbabwe professional golfer Scott Vincent missed the cut for the second consecutive week when he took part in the Italian Open at the weekend. The former Chapman professional is taking part in European Tour tournaments. Vincent carded a 75 and a 2 under 70 on Friday and missed the cut, which was set on 2 under. The former Virginia Tech student last made the cut in the Portugal Masters, where he finished tied in 8th place in September. In cricket news, Takashinga Patriots coach Eric Chauluka wants his side to pick up the pieces from the loss to Gladiators by winning their last match. They are targeting lifting the inaugural National Premier League cricket title. The Highfield side will wrap up their campaign tomorrow when they travel to Kwekwe Sports Club to face Amakosi. Takashinga dominated the 45-over competition, but they had their campaign derailed at the weekend when they fell to an unexpected 86-run defeat to Gladiators. We'll wrap it up with athletics news, where National Athletics Association of Zimbabwe President Tendai Tagara is seeking another term in office when the association holds elections this weekend in Gweru. Tagara has served 2 terms and is seeking a 3rd term at the helm of the athletics mother body. He believes he still has some unfinished business at the National Association, and yesterday confirmed he's in the race to retain the presidency.
Hi, this is Mike Madod, and you can catch me and the team for all the latest breaking news out of the world of sport, local as well as international, on your favorite station, my station, your station, ZiFM. We are Z-Team on ZiFM Sport.
Z International Sports News Roundup, where the world comes out to play. From sunny Melbourne to the streets of Monaco, the deserts of Bahrain to the jungles of Brazil, get up to speed on the Formula One Report. The Formula One Report is proudly brought to you by Zimoco, the home of F1 brands Mercedes-Benz and Alfa Romeo in Zimbabwe. Zimoco, specialized service for special brands.
Now, Zimoco, the home of Mercedes-Benz in Zimbabwe, would like to congratulate Lewis Hamilton on his record 92nd Formula One win this past weekend. An incredible achievement from an incredible driver who's driving an incredible car. And that incredible car is sorted out here in Zimbabwe by Zimoco. Now, we have a body repair center which is offering free headlight restoration for the month of November. This is particularly useful, especially as the rainy season is about to start. Now, over time, with exposure to sunlight, dirt, rain, and other environmental factors, your headlights can become hazy or yellowed, reducing the amount of light your headlights generate by up to 20%. And this makes driving at night especially very dangerous.
So pop into Zimoco, because we can sort this problem out for you by restoring your headlights to manufacturer's condition with full cleaning and fade removal, making driving on our roads at night much safer, especially with the rainy season, which is upon us, imminent. As Mike said earlier, follow our Instagram and Facebook pages or email us on inquiries@zimoco.co.zw for more information. And remember, it's free for the month of November, so make sure you get in touch with us for your vehicle to get that headlight restoration. You need to book it in with us so that we can make sure we do it for you. This is an offer not to be missed. Stay tuned for more.
Z.
Yet another record-breaking weekend for Lewis Hamilton and Mercedes out in Portugal, and the reigning world champion will probably be crowned world champion again this season. Lewis Hamilton believes that he can go on to even greater heights, having surpassed Michael Schumacher's record of Formula One race victories after his win at the Portuguese Grand Prix. The British driver took a commanding victory at the Autodromo International do Algarve and is also now within touching distance of Schumacher's record of 7 world championships. Let's hear from Lewis Hamilton after his 92nd race win.
It's going to take some time for it to fully sink in, but I was still pushing flat out coming across the line, so I'm still very much in race mode mentally. But yeah, it's going to be. I can't find the words at the moment. I didn't have a magic ball when I chose to come to this team and partner with these great people, but here I am, and what I can tell you is that I'm trying to make the most of it every single day. Everything that we do together, we do it. We're all rowing in the same direction, and that's really why you're seeing the success that we're having. And I got my dad's here, which is amazing, and my stepmom Linda is here, and Roscoe. So it's a very blessed day.
Now, just in case you're not a Formula One fan or didn't manage to catch the race over the weekend, Hamilton won in Portimao. I've got friends here who will say Portimao, but it's Portimao, despite having lost the lead in the opening laps, but came back with a masterful display, taking the flag 25 seconds from his Mercedes teammate, Valtteri Bottas. It just shows you how dominant Lewis Hamilton is, isn't it, Barry? That for him to fall behind at some point in the race and then to come back, regain the lead, and then storm to a 25-second win. He's that far ahead of the competition.
100%, and the race went according to how everyone expected it to go, because the Mercedes started on the medium compounds. They were always going to be slow to warm up. They were slow to warm up. All the other teams started on that soft compound, which warms up a lot faster. So yes, they lost a bit of speed in the first sort of 6 laps. After that, normal service was resumed, and Lewis Hamilton doing what Lewis Hamilton does.
Barry Menandi showing off his Formula One knowledge there, Chris. We'll forgive him for that snobbery. We'll confine ourselves to the more general talk, isn't it, Chris? And I want to ask you this. Lewis Hamilton now on the brink of equaling Schumacher's 7 world titles. He's already surpassed him in terms of race wins. Surely now talk of GOAT, of the greatest all-time driver, must begin in earnest.
It must begin in earnest, and I think just being able to surpass this first record was really important for him for people to actually recognize that, you know what, Lewis Hamilton, there's been a lot of chat about, you know what, he's always got great cars, he's always got this and that, so he's not a particularly fantastic driver. But for you to get 92 race wins, you've got to have something about you. So now the conversation can start in earnest, but I think for people to really consider him the GOAT, he's got to equal the World Championship tally. He's got to equal that and surpass it. I think that's what it's going to take for people to really solidify in their minds that he is the GOAT.
Alois, I know you certainly have your views around Lewis Hamilton getting that recognition as the GOAT. If not when he equals the championship and overtakes it possibly next year, but even now.
No, I believe that he is already the GOAT. You know, when you look at how he has revolutionized Formula One, you know, the support and the fact that, you know what, he has been so consistent, especially last season. You know, he completely dominated the circuit. You know, that kind of performance is, for me, I think it's legend. You know, yes, he's gonna overtake. You look at his age, he's gonna overtake already. You can actually tell that he is going there. But for me, what he has done, he has been phenomenal over the years. For me, I think he is already one of the best. He's actually the best for me. And once overtaking the record, I just think it's confirmation. But for me, he's already the GOAT.
Already the GOAT there, according to Alois Munjira, and I'm sure not many will disagree with his sentiments. Well, he's out of contract at Mercedes at the end of the year. by which time the 35-year-old is likely to have, of course, won a record equaling 7th championship and rank as possibly the most successful driver in the history of the sport. Let's just take a look at the latest driver standings. Lewis Hamilton striding out all by himself in the lead, 256 points ahead of Valtteri Bottas, also of Mercedes, on 179. Max Verstappen of Red Bull is on 162. So a nice little race there beginning to develop for position 2 in the driver standings between Max Verstappen and Bottas. In 4th is Daniel Ricciardo of Renault, and Charles Leclerc of Ferrari is in 5th on 75 points. The constructors standings, Mercedes leading the way, Red Bull in 2nd, Racing Point in 3rd, McLaren is 4th, and Renault is in 5th place. The next race is the Italian Grand Prix, and it's on Sunday.
Z.
Now, is your Mercedes-Benz vehicle out of manufacturer's warranty? Well, Zimoco is offering special minor and major service pricing on Mercedes-Benz C, E, S, ML and GL class vehicles that no longer have manufacturer's warranty. Minor service includes oil filter, air filter, plug, washer, oil and free diagnostic report and vehicle inspection. Major service includes oil filter, air filter, dust filter, plug, washer, spark plugs, oil and free diagnostic report and vehicle inspection.
Now, if you're wondering how much it's going to cost you, well, I can tell you, I've got good news for you. The minor service starts from just $217, and the major service prices start from US $383, depending on model and engine size. Other model quotations can be given on request. Please visit our Zimoco website, Instagram and Facebook pages for specific pricing. Email us at inquiries@zimoco.co.zw or WhatsApp us on our Zimoco business number. Make sure you choose Zimoco as your preferred Mercedes-Benz service center, as Zimoco is the only official distributor of Mercedes-Benz vehicles, and keep your Mercedes-Benz running the way the manufacturers intended.
Finally, don't forget to visit our Zimoco showroom in Sam Levy's Village, Borrowdale, to test drive the 7-seater Mitsubishi Pajero Sport SUV. Whatever the destination, the Pajero Sport will get you there, combining reliability, comfort and safety for the ultimate terrain-conquering performance. At its core, the Pajero Sport has a 2.4-litre MyVec turbo diesel engine producing 430 Newton meters of torque. Its pairing with the 8-speed automatic transmission provides the optimum balance from engine power, fuel economy and interior quietness.
It also features impressive torque of 430 Newton meters at 2,500 RPM and has amazing fuel consumption of 8 liters for every 100 kilometers, making sure that your precious fuel lasts you that extra mile. This awesome vehicle is on special offer at an unbeatable price of $59,900 US, all inclusive. Drive away. Hurry while stocks last. Now, a date that you need to put down in your diary is Saturday, the 31st of October. If you want a location, it's the Zimoco showroom at Borrowdale. Join us for complimentary Zimbarista refreshment and test drive some of our awesome vehicles. No doubt, Barry, you're going to be there?
Yeah. For the coffee mostly, and then the cars are just a bonus.
The Formula One Report is proudly brought to you by Zimoco, the home of F1 brands Mercedes-Benz and Alfa Romeo in Zimbabwe. Zimoco, specialized service for special brands.
Hi, I'm Trevor Nyakani, the Blue Bulls and Springbok prop, and now you're listening to ZiFM Sports.
Only DSTV brings you the very best football action. Catch all the action from the most popular league in the world, the English Premier League, with some of the world's biggest stars in Sadio Mane, Harry Kane, Sergio Aguero, and Virgil van Dijk. Catch all the action on the brand new SuperSport Premier League channel on channel 223. We have the world's best football, only on DSTV.
Around the world in 60 seconds. International sports news.
Around the World in 60 is proudly brought to you by DSTV. We'll start in England, where Eddie Jones has reminded his players of the need to adhere to strict COVID protocols after England's opening match of their international window was called off because of two separate breaches by Barbarians players last week, but he admitted he cannot guarantee players will not break the rules. The Rugby Football Union faces up to £1 million lost in TV revenue and sponsorship after Sunday's match had to be cancelled. The cancellation denied England the chance to warm up for their crucial Six Nations finale against Italy on Saturday and are in danger of heading to Rome in need of a bonus point and a sizable winning margin undercooked. In the United Arab Emirates, Kings 11 Punjab continued their charge towards an IPL playoff place as half-centuries from Chris Gayle and Mandeep Singh took them to a 9-wicket win over the Kolkata Knight Riders. Having been bottom of the table with just one win from 7 games, Kings 11 have now won 5 in a row to jump up to the 4th and final knockout spot, leapfrogging the Kolkata Knight Riders with 2 matches left to play. We'll touch down in the United States, where Justin Thomas has turned his attention to winning the Masters next month after falling short in his title challenge at the Zozo Championship. The world number 3 took a one-shot lead into the final round at Sherwood Country Club, but had to settle for a share of second as Patrick Cantlay posted a 7 under 65 to claim a one-stroke win. Thomas birdied the last to close out a 3 under 69 and share second spot with John Rahm, with the 27-year-old admitting he struggled to stay mentally sharp during the final day in California.
Hi, I'm Clemens Matau, chicken in midfielder. You're listening to ZiFM Sports.
The big leagues, the big teams, the big players. The beautiful game on ZiFM Sport. The Nerazzurri, the Black and Blues, Inter Milan.
It's Romelu Lukaku, and it was never in doubt. He's a beast at the best of times, but this season he has become a monster.
The Giallorossi, the Yellow and Reds, AS Roma.
Belotti has a go! Tremendous hits! That's what he's capable of!
La Viola, the Purple Ones, Fiorentina.
Franck Ribéry seals a glorious win for Fiorentina with a sumptuous goal at San Siro.
The Bianconeri, the Black and Whites, Juventus.
Ronaldo seals yet another 3 points for Juventus.
Tough yet colourful. The best of Italian football on Z.
As we said earlier, we will be talking about the UEFA Champions League, which makes a return tonight. But first, let's clean up some league fixtures that straddled Monday night football, starting in Italy, where AC Milan defender Simon Kjaer admits there's frustration after Zlatan Ibrahimovic scored twice. But the Rossoneri dropped their first points of the Serie A season as Roma came from behind to draw 3-3 at the San Siro last night. Milan, with 13 points, remain at the top of the standings, 2 points ahead of Napoli, who have won all 4 games they have played, and Sassuolo. Roma remained in 9th position. Alois, a 3-3 draw, but in truth, it should have really ended 2-2 if we are to be fair, because there were some very gracious penalties given in this match.
Yeah, very generous ones, but still 3-3, 2-2, it doesn't really matter. It's still 1 point apiece. Maybe when towards the end of the season, at the end of the season, maybe that 1 goal apiece, maybe any of the 2 clubs can benefit from that 1 goal extra. We don't know. We will have to wait and see. But I think it was a thriller, and I think for AC Milan as well, that 1 point is still good enough. Roma they're not cheap customers. They're on top of the log. You get 1 point from Roma. When you are starting a season and you're looking at the teams that you're going to be playing throughout the season, I'm sure AC Milan could have pegged Roma as one of the teams that are going to take points from them, maybe 1 point. So I think it's still good enough. It's a work in progress. So well done. But for Roma to come back against AC Milan, I think is actually commendable. Unlucky, but I'm happy that Zlatan Ibrahimovic is carrying on doing what he knows best, scoring goals. At that age,
Yeah, still scoring goals indeed. And I agree with you, Alois. Roma are not necessarily mugs, albeit that they're in ninth position. Yeah, things will sort themselves out. But Mike, you got to say to yourself the fact that Gianluigi Donnarumma was unavailable for AC Milan. Of course, he tested positive for COVID-19, and they had the veteran Romanian goalkeeper Cyprian Tatarashanu in goal. What is your assessment of his performance as the last line of Milan's defense?
He didn't do anything wrong, and I don't think even if Donnarumma had been present, he would have done anything about the goals that were scored by Roma. But what I'll take away from this game is that I saw arguably the worst refereeing performance of this season, England included. I thought,
and they're the worst.
And they're the worst.
Mike, nah.
No, he was poor. He was a very poor referee. He was officious. He was very petty. And we saw those two penalties. If anything, it really needed to put a seal on how poor his performance was the penalty that was given to AC Milan for that challenge on Bentancur. That was an absolutely shameful decision because between the referee and VAR not to pick it up and for the referee not to be asked to go and have a look at it just showed you. And he thought, players get frustrated with the manner in which you are handling a match. And when players start to question you, his reaction now was that he started to flash out the cards.
So it was getting aggressive.
Trying to get staring down players. It was almost a stare down contest with players. He was now trying to intimidate the players. But in truth, I will remember this refereeing performance. It was a very poor one. But also to commend Zlatan Ibrahimovic. This is his third brace in 3 matches for AC Milan. And they need that sort of leadership from a senior player. And he's doing it as well, not only by being a presence in the dressing room, but also on the field of play.
Has AC Milan and Stefano Pioli, more specifically, Chris, got the balance right? Because we always talk about this having the right balance between youthful exuberance and experience. And in truth, AC Milan, the playing staff ostensibly has improved big time. But you've got to say that the resurgence or the return of Zlatan Ibrahimovic cannot be discounted.
It can't be discounted, and like you talked about, creating that balance of players who are mature, players who know what to do when the time comes. And I think Zlatan has been showing up, like Mike said, providing leadership on and off the field. I think it's one thing for you to be talked up, but I think to get to AC Milan and do the job you're required to do, you've suffered COVID-19, you've been through it with AC Milan, and this is just the start of the season, and you've been performing, you've been scoring the goals. I think it's incredibly important, and they do seem to have the balance right.
Barry, however, I need to point out the fact that I think they can't depend or rely on Zlatan Ibrahimovic for an entire season. This is not the first time we've seen it. Even when he came to Manchester United, started the season like a house on fire, was scoring goals. But I have my doubts as to whether in a 38-match season, Zlatan Ibrahimovic at that age is able to maintain that intensity. Even when he went to the MLS, he wasn't able to maintain the intensity and the level of performance throughout the course of an entire season. So we're going to get moments like this where Zlatan Ibrahimovic is the story, but they must also prepare and have options for the games when Zlatan Ibrahimovic is going to go missing.
And we'll forgive him that because I think what surmises AC Milan and Zlatan Ibrahimovic is men of a certain age.
There was also Monday Night Football in England, and Carlon Grant's late strike denied Brighton their first home win of the season, with West Brom coming from behind for a 1-1 draw at the Amex Stadium. Later on in the evening, Heung-min Son and Harry Kane combined once again as Spurs eventually found a way through a stubborn Burnley defence to win 1-0 at Turf Moor. And let's start with the conversation around Tottenham Hotspur. Alois, you've got to say that they've got two attackers who are bang on form. Son right now, who just can't stop scoring, and Harry Kane, who can't stop assisting. Under normal circumstances, it would be the other way around, wouldn't it? Kane doing all the scoring, Son doing all the providing and all the assisting. But these guys have found a relationship and a partnership that works for them on the field of play.
Yes, Mike, it's actually amazing that, they have switched roles. Whoever came up with a plan to actually bring Kane to number 10, I think that was a masterstroke. When you look at him, he doesn't look like a number 10. When you just look at his body, his structure, and the way he plays, he never looked like he was that kind of player. But he was slotted in. I actually think, when he got injured, remember when he got that ankle injury, Son was then put forward to actually play the leading role up front. I think that's when it was discovered that he can actually play there. He can actually do the job there. So whoever did that, I think that was actually quite good. They are doing well. They are combining very well. And I think they are going to carry on like that.
Yeah, and Chris, you've got to say credit must go to those that have made the positional switch. It's a position that Harry Kane played in during his youth days. He played as a number 10 before making a switch to become a number 9. So he does have a bit of experience in his younger days playing as a number 10. But I think it's been necessitated by the fact that because of injuries and successive injuries, he's now slowed down in pace. And Mourinho looking at Son and saying, you know what, I think Son is a lot quicker, he's a lot faster, and I need a speedy number 9.
Definitely. I think kudos to Jose Mourinho and his team to, first of all, be able to see in what positions these players are going to be playing better in. And we're already seeing the results, especially from the number of goals that combination in terms of assists, in terms of goals themselves, of scoring. And that's almost typical Jose Mourinho to pick things like that up, to be able to place those players in, for example, Harry Kane playing as a number 10. So it's just almost a resurgence, like you said, because of the fact that this is a position he played in previously.
Now, Barry, when we go past the hype of the results and take a look at the game in splendid isolation, Spurs dodged the bullet because Burnley, to be honest, will feel hard done by for losing that game because they created chance after chance after chance. Kane himself having to clear off the line in one instance.
Absolutely, and in truth, not necessarily a surprise because we know what you're going to face when you go to Turf Moor. You're going to face a very organized, narrow, compact defense that's able to also, when they have the ball, use it efficiently, and that's exactly what Burnley did. And yes, I'd agree with you that Tottenham Hotspur dodged a bullet, and in truth, if we are to be fair on the balance of play, Burnley deserves at least something out of this game, and it's unfair that they got nothing out of it. But again, it's a mark of a team that's got its confidence up, that's got positivity around it, like you guys have been crowing about, around the Spurs family. That positivity just generates those results that come out of literally nothing.
Well, the wins are coming for Tottenham Hotspur, and not just the wins, the clean sheets as well. It's now 2 successive clean sheets for Jose Mourinho's Spurs, and they've moved up to 5th with that win. Burnley, on the other end, they remain in the relegation zone with just 1 point from their 5 league games this season. So it looks like it's going to be hard going for Sean Dyche and his men this season.
Hi, my name is Rudoni Shamba, Maitoria's super striker. You're listening to ZiFM Sports.
Your home of the Champions League in Zimbabwe, of course, is ZiFM Sport. It's back tonight, and I love the way that matches are just coming one after the other. It can't be good for the players because it's a bit of a strain, but for us who are watching on TV, it's absolutely dynamite. Tonight's fixtures, Group A through to D. In Group A, Lokomotiv Moscow hosts Bayern Munich, the Machine. Atletico Madrid take on Salzburg. In Group B, Shakhtar Donetsk take on Inter Milan, while Borussia Mönchengladbach host Real Madrid. In Group C, it's Porto versus Olympiacos and Marseille versus Manchester City. We were talking about that one just now. And then in Group D, it's Atalanta versus Ajax, and Liverpool take on Midtjylland of Denmark. Right, that match we spoke about, Man City taking on Marseille in France. They're just going across the channel and they're taking on the French giants. And Man City will endeavour to make it 2 wins out of 2 after crossing the channel to take on Marseille. In contrast, the hosts marked their return to the pinnacle of club football with a disheartening 1-0 defeat to Greek champions Olympiacos last week. So, Mikey, always good to have a story or a scenario where you've got one that's trying to keep the momentum and the other that's trying to correct the wrongs of the previous outing. You've got City that wants 2 out of 2, Marseille trying to right the wrongs of last week. How does this one play out?
I think City will certainly be favourites, Barry, for this game. I think they have a lot of quality in their ranks, a lot of match winners. Kevin De Bruyne is back as well. He pulls all the strings in midfield, is able to create chances and occasionally score the odd goal here and there. So I think City will be the favourites to win this game. Marseille, though, are no pushovers. They have shown in the past that they're able to punch above their weight. In Andre Villas-Boas, they've got a supremely talented tactician. Remember, he was touted as the new Jose Mourinho a decade ago when he stormed onto the scene at Porto. He's starting to find his feet back after basically going off the rails, as it were, and taking up some of the lesser fancy jobs. I think he was manager at Zenit St. Petersburg, but he's coming back more and more into the limelight. And testament to his work is the fact that Marseille are back in the Champions League and are able to compete at the very top table of European football. I still fancy City for this one, though.
Yeah, and you got to fancy City as well, because it's easy for us to isolate competitions, isn't it, Chris? Where we then say, okay, their last outing in the Champions League was successful, was City, but they themselves will be hurt and hungry and wanting to right the wrongs of their previous Premier League outing, where they drew 1-1 with a Mikel Antonio-inspired West Ham.
Definitely. So they're going to have some wounds that they're going to be licking, and we know that a City team that's been hurt is a City team that's quite hungry, and they go into the next match, and this is going to be a Champions League one, with a lot more gusto. Pep Guardiola is going to be preparing quite hard for this one, but I'm going to go and add the fact that Marseille, because of the fact that they haven't had a venture in the Champions League since 2013, 2014, for a number of their players, this might be a bit of a new competition, a new scenario for them. So that's going to be a little bit intimidating, especially coming off the back of a loss. This is the kind of competition that punishes you, especially mentally, and you get a bit of a hoodoo about it. So they're going to want this as well, just to make sure that they do get a win in these first couple of matches.
The one positive, Alois, is that this match is in the backyard of Marseille. They're playing at home, albeit behind closed doors. There's a little bit of an advantage in at least being in familiar surroundings, isn't there?
Yeah, Billy, I think the only advantage is the home ground advantage of being familiar with the turf, because you know what, the home ground has always been an advantage in terms of fans. You know, fans are intimidating. When you go to an away match, you got the fans that are actually intimidating, and that atmosphere is what spurs the home team on. But this time around, it's just being familiar with the home turf. But to be honest, I've always said, this time around, the home ground has not been an advantage at all, because once players are on the field, there are no fans. It's just the dimensions, the width, the length, the goalpost. You know, that's all there is to it. You focus on.
Yes. Not to mention the dressing room, Alois. That will also be familiar for them. But I'm going to need predictions, guys. How does this one play out? Let's start with you, Mikey.
I fancy City, maybe 2-1.
City 2-1. Chris?
City 2-0.
Alois?
I'm with Mike here. 2-1 to City.
2-1 to City. I'm going to go 3-1 to the Citizens. There's another match on tonight, and it's out of Group B, and that is Borussia Mönchengladbach taking on Real Madrid. They are hosting Real Madrid, to put it specifically, at Borussia Park. It's a Zinedine Zidane-led side. Let me stick with you, Alois. He steadied the ship, a good classical win. How does he prepare his side and keep the momentum going and keep the wins going?
Yeah, I think that was a moral boost. I know always Real Madrid beating Barcelona, I think is actually quite a big moral boost. I think he can actually just remind the players that, you guys, if we can beat Barcelona, we can beat anyone else in the world. So I think for me, if I was Zidane, I would just remind the players, we beat Barcelona, guys. We can beat anyone else. So let's go out.
That's the whole sum total of your team talk.
Yes.
And I'm going to assume that the entire ZFM Sport team believes that Real Madrid will get the victory here. The only thing that will be different is the scoreline. So I'm not going to ask for predictions. We all reckon that Madrid will do the business tonight. We've done the business, so we've got to go. We'll catch you tomorrow. May God richly bless you. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Malande, out.
And it's Messi! It is the cleanest of clean finishes from the best on the planet.
The biggest sports stories.
Liverpool, the champions of Europe, are top of the world.
The biggest interviews.
That such a great spectacle is ruined by such thuggish behavior.
And all the analysis right here.
He's the one player that has the arrogance to think that he can play in any stadium in the world and any pitch in the world in front of any player in the world and take them on.
Every weekday, it's my sport, it's your sport. It's ZFM Sport on ZFM Stereo. My station, your station.